The opponent safe switches into Togekiss and show me a more beautiful sight than Shiny Shadow Metagross switch locked against a pesky Charmer. Trainer 31 gonna be looking for that one shield, bullet punch farm all the way down, leaving at 100 energy. Rhyperior usually pretty advantageous into steel types, but not a Metagross at 100 energy. Back out comes Rhyperior. We fire off one bullet punch and the first Meteor Mash. Metagross says there's plenty more of where that came from. One further bullet punch and Meteor Mash number 2. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have an incredible shoutcast from one of our regular battle submitters here in the Open Master League, Trainer 31. Trainer 31 today is flexing hard on us all, showcasing his fully maxed out Shiny Shadow Metagross. If you've been playing PvP for a while, you'll know that Metagross back in the early seasons was a top meta threat. However, nowadays it's very much high risk, high reward. Those that are brave enough to use it can certainly be rewarded. It's still the absolute king of shutting down fairy types. However, it's got some things to avoid. Stuff like Ho-Oh, stuff like Landorus, and the newly buffed Mud Slappers are things Metagross wants no part of. Trainer 31 is pairing his Shiny Shadow Metagross up with a couple of big Donnies with Rhyperior and Palkia Origin respectively. With that being said, without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, we lead Palkia into Rayquaza. Clearly, Trainer 31 not the only one flexing his shinies. A very nice shiny variant from the opponent. Trainer 31 farms up, pivots, makes the catch onto Rhyperior, sneaking the Mud Slap in the process. Breaking Swipe doesn't do too much damage whatsoever, and out comes Landorus. It's very nice to bait this thing out, so our Metagross doesn't have to face it. We're going to see the shield deployed. Shielding up the Santia Storm, we throw one Mud Slap and the Breaking Swipe bait. The opponent shields the bait. Rhyperior now going to be able to outpace to the Rock Wrecker. Rhyperior, an absolute menace this season. Landorus should be advantageous into this matchup, but Rhyperior able to rocket very deep into the red health range. The opponent fires off the next Santia Storm, securing the knockout. Back out comes Palkia. Palkia gets that Dragon Breath farm down. Back out comes Rayquaza. Rayquaza also gets farmed down. The opponent's final Pokemon is Necrozma. Unfortunately, this also happens to be one of them matchups Metagross doesn't fancy being in. We tank the Dark Pulse. We're putting all our hopes and dreams onto Palkia. Palkia throws the Roar of Time. Roar of Time forces the final Protect Shield. We're able to reach the Aqua Tail, but Aqua Tail unfortunately isn't going to be enough to get the job done. And unfortunately, we're going to be off to a 0-1 start. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, a tough lead. Seeing Xerneas, we safe switch into Rhyperior. The opponent farms up a boat of energy before sending out the basic bitch tin can. Trainer, are you sure about that? I would have liked to see Trainer 31 spam out a couple of break-in swipes before the Iron Head was reached. We actually played to the CMP side. We did not win with the Rock Wrecker. Trainer 31 recognises he made a slight mistake, goes for the full undercharge, allowing Rhyperior to get that full Mud Slap farm down, leaving with so much energy. Back out comes Xerneas. We're going to see the shield deployed, blocking up the Moonblast, and once again we are full sending the Rock Wrecker. Does the opponent respect the damage? Yes, they do. However, we're already doubled up. The opponent finds himself in a very tough position. Rock Wrecker, a very hard hitting move. It's actually a Blast Burn clone, and we managed to force both Protect Shields off the opponent. Not only do we force both Protect Shields, the opponent dumps a full Moonblast to remove us from the field of play. The opponent has lost switch advantage. They now send out Ho-Oh, and hi Ho-Oh, meet Palkia. Palkia can survive any one move, especially a Sacred Fire. I'm not entirely sure why they threw that. Perhaps they're thinking they can survive an Aqua Tail and reach another move. Unfortunately, Trainer, nah, that simply is not happening. Palkia gets the Dragon Breath farm down, leaving with the Aqua Tail. The opponent recognises game over and concedes the match. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Duskmane Necrozma. There are shinies being flexed left, right and centre in today's showcase. Not the best matchup for Palkia, but objectively better than having Metagross aligned here. The opponent tanks the Aqua Tail, safe switch into Primarina, and here comes Metagross. As this is a very slow, pesky tap-tap variant of Primarina, they take around 10 years to reach a charge move. In fairness, Metagross also not the quickest, but able to outpace, throwing the Meteor Mash, removing them from the field of play. Back out comes Necrozma. Necrozma, not wanting to tank a charge move, fires off the Dark Pulse, picking up the knockout. Trainer 31 now has the option to realign his Pokemon, and he sends out Rhyperior. Rhyperior shields up the Moongeist Beam, looks for that Mud Slap farm down. The opponent not wanting to get farmed down, opt to pivot, sending out Rayquaza. Rayquaza tanks the Breaking Swipe, Clearly you can tell I just woke up from night shift. They didn't tank it. They invested a Protect Shield on the break-in swipe. However, we still did enter Palkia. My gosh, I'm in shambles already. Palkia throws the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail forces the opponent's final protection. The opponent able to get that full Dragon Tail farm down. And it's all down to Rhyperior to clean up. Rhyperior has a very respectable stat product. You can see it's very, very bulky. We see Trainer 31 pause a turn, ensuring this break-in swipe lands onto Rayquaza. Break-in swipe picks up the knockout. We mod slap farm down Dustmane and emerge victorious. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Rhyperior in the lead. The opponent says no thank you, say switch into Togekiss and show me a more beautiful sight. Then Shiny Shadow Metagross being switch locked against a very annoying pesky Charmer. The irony of Metagross looking for that one shield, full tap tap, bullet punch farm down, leaving at 100 energy. Rhyperior usually advantageous into steel types, but not with this much of an energy disadvantage. We fire off one bullet punch and the first meteor mash, forcing the opponent's first protection. Metagross has plenty more of where that came from. The second meteor mash forces the opponent all shields down. We save Metagross and pivot back out into our Palkia. Palkia tanks the break-in swipe. The opponent continues to stay into Palkia, going to return fire with the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail lands for absurd damage, picking up the knockout. The opponent's final Pokemon is Kyogre. Kyogre is going to get outpaced. It's now about to tank the Roar Time to the face. Roar Time almost picks up the one-hit KO, and the opponent doesn't even commit to the Waterfall farm down. I'm quite surprised to see the opponent not send out Kyogre to tank the energy off Metagross. However, it is what it is. We're going to bullet punch farm down Kyogre and take that game. In the next battle, we've got a little case of deja vu. The opponent leads Rhyperior into our Palkia. They say switch into Dragonite. Trainer 31 makes a very nice Dragon Claw catch onto Metagross. As we've chipped this thing, we could potentially look for the one shield, bullet punch farm down. It looks like Trainer 31 thinks he survives a super, which he does, but my gosh, we are now very, very low. We don't commit to the farm down, opt to throw the Meteor Mash. The opponent looks to realign, and they're able to do so at the cost of one Protect Shield. We could farm down here with either Pokemon. Trainer 31 opts to send out Palkia, not wanting to reveal his third. The opponent sends out the shiny variant of Gyarados, and we're going for a very risky bait in my humble opinion. Aqua Tail gets called. We're only going to reach one further move, so I think at this point we definitely throw the Roar of Time. We again throw the Aqua Tail bait, which the opponent doesn't shield. The opponent does get that full Dragon Breath farm down, and we are definitely shielding here, as Aqua Tail will be double super effective, as both ground and rock take super effective from water. I'm personally not a trainer who likes to bait. I think baiting the Aqua Tail twice there has put us in quite a tricky situation. However, Gyarados doesn't have a move bank, so Trainer 31 here just needs to manage his energy well. We need to try and farm up to the double break-in swipe. Trainer 31 is going to invest his final protection, blocking up the next break-in swipe. He then farms up to the double. Break-in swipe should be enough to remove Rhyperior from the field of play. We leave with the next break-in swipe, and Rhyperior is going to be a Gyarados counter confirmed. GG's to both trainers. The golden rule of baiting is never bait often sometimes. If you think that makes very little sense, like I do, just YOLO nukes and hope for the best. In the next battle, we see Palkia into Landorus. This matchup greatly improved this season for Palkia due to the Mud Shot rework. Landorus used to be very spammy to them Santia Storms, taking only 5 Mud Shots to each. However, now it takes 6, 6, then 5. The opponent made a very nice catch onto Dialga. That was a nice play, but what wasn't a nice play was throwing the Iron Head on alignment, giving Rhyperior a full free Mud Slap. Rhyperior goes for the one shield, full Mud Slap farm down, back out comes Landorus. We look to fire off the Rock Wrecker, unfortunately losing CMP. We now find ourselves all shields down. We fire off the Rock Wrecker, forcing one Protect Shield back. Rhyperior with so much energy once again, looking to do maximum damage, firing off the Rock Wrecker. The opponent also finds himself all shields down. We save Rhyperior, pivot out into Palkia. The opponent enters the mirror behind an energy, which is never a good thing to do. Get that Palkia off my screen. There's the one-hit KO. Back out comes Landorus. Landorus is going to fire off the Santia Storm. Santia Storm will be picking up the knockout. Landorus has the typing advantage into the remainder of our team. However, they are so low. We send out Rhyperior. Rhyperior able to outpace to the break-in swipe, and Metagross isn't even going to enter the arena. GG's and thanks for playing.
Heading into the next battle, Trainer 31 leads Palkia into Togekiss. By no means fantastic. We throw one Dragon Breath, see the Say Switch into Rhyperior. These mod types are double resisted, but Rock Wrecker gets that clean one-hit KO. Speaking of which, we full send. Does the opponent respect the damage? Of course they do. When do you ever see a Charmer that isn't willing to two-shield it? Trainer 31 cents, and they must be weak to Rhyperior. Invest that Protect Shield, and oh boy, they are weak indeed. Out comes Yveltal. Trainer 31 going for a cheeky masturbate session, killing a poor defenseless cat, but we'll let him off as we're about to see that big boom land. Yveltal going to be straight in and straight out. Rock Wrecker picks up that one shot. The opponent sends back out Togekiss, and this pesky Charmer is now switch locked against Shiny Shadow Metagross. We send out, the opponent doesn't want the smoke, and they are out of it. In the next battle, yet another Togekiss. We see the same story, a save switch into Rhyperior, and this time we're punished by Kyogre. Trainer 31 full sending the Rock Wrecker, despite this being a very hard hitting move. The non-shadow variant doesn't command a Protect Shield. The opponent tanked the damage, and rightfully so, as they're essentially just going to get farmed down by our Palkia. Trainer 31 waits out his clock, sends out Palkia. The opponent can quite literally throw whatever they like. Even a Blizzard will not one-shot. The opponent go for the Thunder. We see Trainer 31 stalling out the timer, waiting for his timer to call off. We pivot into Metagross. Out comes Necrozma. Yeah, that's not a winnable game. We're going to concede the match and move swiftly on. In the next battle, we see Groudon in the lead. Not only is Trainer 31 a Spice Lord, a very talented battler, but clearly a gentleman as well, as he stops attacking as the opponent was lagging. Great sportsmanship on display. The opponent save switches into Mewtwo. We try our luck, making the double resisted side strike catch unsuccessfully. Although, what cojones on this man, he still calls the bait, tanking the double resisted move. This time we are going to respect the Shadow Ball. Once again, the opponent continuing to masturbate their way through this matchup. I'm almost certain this can only be a side strike. It seems a bit quick. We do invest a Protect Shield. The opponent does indeed throw yet another side strike. We're now down 2 Protect Shields, but leave at 100 energy. Back out comes Groudon. Groudon invests a Protect Shield on the first Meteor Mash. We then go for the wham, bam, combo play. Pivot back out into Palkia. Fire off the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail very quickly forced the opponent to join us in a shieldless position. Precipice Blaze won't quite knock us out, but will enable the opponent to farm us down. We actually see a Mexican standoff, both trainers not wanting to give each other any free farm. Both trainers waiting out, who's going to tap the screen. The opponent switch timer pops up, they get the snipe with Xerneas, but Xerneas is still going to be greeted with this Metagross. Metagross over farms before firing off the Meteor Mash. Meteor Mash will be removing them from the field of play. The opponent only has 2 low HP Pokemon remaining. They recognise there's nothing they can do, and they do concede the match. In the next battle, we see a familiar lead, Palkia into Rhyperior. If you play Master League, you're going to see this time and time again. The reason Rhyperior is such a busted mon in this format is it can more than hold its own, despite us having a typing advantage that hits them for double super effective. The opponent throw the Breaking Swipe, invest the Protect Shield, blocking up the incoming Aqua Tail. The opponent will be able to outpace, taking only 12 turns, then 9 turns to each move. So we actually see the next Breaking Swipe caught onto our own Rhyperior. Our Rhyperior save switch baits out Landorus. Another thing that makes Rhyperior such a menace, it is absurdly bulky. It tanks the Santia Storm, no problem whatsoever, and going to fire off that hard-hitting Rock Wrecker. Rock Wrecker doesn't do too much, so the opponent must have got the attack drop, which I didn't see. The combination of being an old man, waking up from night shift and shoutcasting on my phone makes some of these messages very hard to catch. We send out Palkia, fire off the Aqua Tail, and we're putting all our hopes and dreams on a 2-shielded Metagross. Metagross comes in, it's going to be looking for that 1 shield, full bullet punch farm down. The opponent fires off 1 further Breaking Swipe. I did see that attack drop, which is very unfortunate. Talk about kicking a man when he's down. Out comes Bite Tyranitar, very quickly delete the remainder of our HP. Palkia also going to get bitten down, and Godzilla is going to sweep the back line. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see Xerneas in the lead. So we're going to utilise this Rhyperior save switch. The opponent stays in, likely looking to close combat and dip. Trying to force an early shield advantage, but Trainer 31 says no. The opponent actually fires off the Moonblast, and I can't quite figure that play out, to be honest. Moonblast, more expensive than Close Combat, and Close Combat would hit for super effective, so a bit puzzling. I've seen a few people run Xerneas with Thunder, so perhaps that could be the reason why. Speaking of more damage, despite Rock Wrecker being resisted in the mirror, it does objectively more than a Breaking Swipe. Rhyperior is effectively a Charizard. When Dragon Claw hit for neutral and Blast Burn was resisted, Blast Burn would still do more damage. Blast Burn and Rock Wrecker are clones of each other. Breaking Swipe and Dragon Claw are also clones of one another. So it's a nice and simple way for you to figure it out. Unfortunately, alignment really hasn't been on our side in this battle. The opponent's third is Golden Go, and every time I see that I just think of a cheese string. Although let's try not to get distracted. Palkia tasked with doing the heavy lifting. We shield up the Moonblast. Palkia going to be spamming out Aqua Tail after Aqua Tail. Very nice fast move timing there from Trainer 31. The next Aqua Tail gets the opponent insanely low. We see the final Protect Shield deployed. I imagine we're going to attempt to snipe Xerneas' remaining HP with Metagross. The opponent actually probably anticipated that play. Send out Golden Go. Golden Go going to be greeted with the Aqua Tail. Golden Go reasonably bulky, but it looks like this second Aqua Tail will come very close to knocking out. I imagine the opponent going to invest their final protection here, and they do. When does the opponent throw? We try our luck making the catch. The catch is unsuccessful. The opponent is going to be forced to throw. Shadow Ball easily picks up the knockout Palkia. Looks for the Dragon Breath farm down. Unfortunately, unable to get it. We get Astonished farm down, and the opponent emerges victorious. In the next battle, we see the shiny variant of Xerneas, continuing the theme of seeing many cool shinies in today's showcase. Palkia gonna strike first, firing off the Aqua Tail. The opponent probably go for an Oblivion Wing here. Despite this not being in English, that quite clearly was a Dark Pulse, so perhaps this opponent is running Focus Blast. We see Trainer 31 over farm before firing off the next Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail force the protection. We then see the attempted catch onto Rhyperior. The catch is unsuccessful. However, nothing really is too threatening, unless the opponent does have that Hail Mary Focus Blast. Rhyperior gets a very nice double resisted Mud Slap farm down. The opponent now send out Xerneas, very far behind on energy. Rhyperior gonna YOLO the Rock Wrecker. Rock Wrecker rocks the opponent down below half health. We see the instant no shield deployed. The opponent fire off the close combat, picking up the knockout but also lowering their own defense. Trainer 31 waits out his clock, sends out Metagross. The opponent's final Pokemon is Tapu Lele, a very cool pick. Both trainers hitting each other for super effective. The opponent fires off the Psyshock. Why would you not go for Nature's Madness there? I don't know, but what I do know is Metagross in the battle of fast move pressure is going to emerge victorious. Trainer 31 fires off the Meteor Mash, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield, but we're doubled up and the second one is going to remove them from the field of play with Metagross taking no prisoners. GG's and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see Palkia into Kyogre, very much where the team wants to see it. The opponent say switches into Togekiss, and oh hello Togekiss, nice to see you nice. This is almost certainly double fairy. If the second fairy is a Waterfall Primarina, we could actually be in a spot of trouble here. We are going to get a massive Bullet Punch farm down, but Kyogre going to be able to absorb its energy reasonably well, although a Shadow Earthquake will do over half their health. Earthquake lands. At this point, we can just spam the Meteor Mash. I think if the opponent does shield this, it's definitely a second fairy. I've never really seen Kyogre with a Say Switch fairy with anything other than another fairy, but this opponent might shock me. Trainer 31 sends out Palkia to operate as the damage sponge. We see the instant no shield deployed. The opponent fire off the Thunder, doing a very solid amount of chip damage. There is the second fairy. It is a Primarina, but unfortunately for this opponent, they picked the wrong quick move. Rhyperior against the Charm variant, going to be very advantageous in the one shield. There's no reason to bait. We can just go straight Rock Wrecker. The opponent shield the Rock Wrecker. We're going to shield up the Hydro Cannon. You know the drill. The next Rock Wrecker will be removing Primarina from the field of play. And despite me potentially getting demonetized for this comment, fuck you Double Charm. GG's and thanks for playing. Was that F-bomb necessary? Was that F-bomb worth it? Totally worth it and totally necessary because I cannot stand Charm, especially annoying trainers running the Double Charm strategy. In the next battle, we see Palkia into Yveltal. Trainer 31 farms the Aurora Time Baits with the Aqua Tail, forcing us an early shield advantage. Trainer 31, happy to match shields, shielding up the Oblivion Wing, the opponent. Then send out Duskmane. Duskmane going to get spammed with an Aqua Tail before potentially pivoting out into Rhyperior. We're actually going to stay in here. This second Aqua Tail won't be lethal, but we'll put him in a range where we can Mud Slap farm down. In a turn of events, it looks like we're actually just going to completely sack Metagross, using it as the damage sponge, looking to save our final Protect Shield. Metagross tanked the Dark Pulse, was able to get him into a 1 Mud Slap range, and Rhyperior now has a running start. The opponent sends out their own Rhyperior. We're ahead in this matchup. We're going to farm to the Rock Wrecker bait with the Breaking Swipe, as mentioned previously. Despite Rock Wrecker being resisted, it would do more damage. We see the no shield deployed. The opponent fire off their own Breaking Swipe, and it looks like we're going to see a battle of Breaking Swipe versus Breaking Swipe. To be fair, this matchup is nowhere near as obnoxious as some of the other ones. The opponent makes a very nice sniping with Yveltal. We're looking for that farm down, which we're unable to get. The opponent Sucker Punch farm us down, and we're going to take a heartbreaking loss. In the next battle, the final battle of today's shoutcast, we see a pesky fairy in the lead. We're going to utilise the Rhyperior Say Switch. This should be a close combat and dip. Last time we saw someone Moonblast and dip. This opponent does throw the close combat, then enter the mirror. The opponent going for the chip and dip there was a very heads up play. It means they can now dictate switch advantage. They can enter the mirror and we simply cannot flip that matchup. Not only that, we haven't even really got a good way of absorbing this energy. We can tank 2 breaking swipes here. However, we're going to be left insanely low. This one won't quite be lethal, but the opponent will be able to Mud Slap farm us down before we Dragon Breath farm them down. So we see the aggressive pivot, giving Metagross a running start. Out comes the Yveltal. We're going to concede the match. That battle was so quick. We've actually got one more, which I didn't quite know. So finally, I think this one definitely is the last battle. Jamie Finn, as always, the ever professional. We see Palkia into Ho-Oh. The opponent says no thank you, say switch. Into the OG, basic bitch tin can, and we answer with Rhyperior. Rhyperior, if you switch quick enough, can go for the 1 shield. Full Mod Slap farm down. Did we switch quick enough is the question. The opponent looks to reach the second Iron Head. They don't get there. The opponent, to my surprise, send back out Ho-Oh, and I imagine they're going to look to 2 shield. We fire off the first Rock Wrecker. The opponent shows no respect. Holy, I did not see that boom come in. What a way to end today's showcase. Huge shout out to Trainer31 for bringing us a very cool pick with Shiny Shadow Metagross here in the Open Master League. The meta is quite hostile to Metagross currently, but you can see if you've got the balls to run it, it can come off clutch. There are so many fairy types running around. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button if you're new. Consider subscribing if, like Trainer31, you'd like your battles featured on my channel. A link to our battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.